Zoran Mamdani won the Democratic primary, of course, over Andrew Cuomo, and many others, several others. And now they're very upset about it. Everyone's pissed off. One of those being Eric Adams, and his ass ran over to Fox News for some reason.
Mr. Mayor, it's not just defund the police. This candidate, Democratic Socialist, he wants to freeze the rent. He wants city-run grocery stores, social workers to replace the police because that's going to help. He wants $60 billion of debt fund for affordable housing. He wants free buses, no cost for childcare, baby baskets for newborn, and a $30 minimum wage. How can someone vote for this?
What a monster. What a monster this guy is. He wants all these things that people would actually pay for, the tons of money that people pay in taxes already. I hear conservatives always talk about how these high taxed states like New York, California, how they're always getting taxed so high. But people should get something for what they're taxed for, right? And maybe not continue to give away their money to rich folks who don't contribute anywhere near the level that the rest of society contributes to our society. No, they don't. So when they talk about free buses, I'll bring this back up for a second. Some of the lists that they had of the fear mongering list that, oh my God, nobody's bus routes. When they say free, again, free, that means it's been paid for already. It doesn't mean there's no money at all coming from it. It means we paid and our money is used for things that actually help our lives. Stop buying into that whole mindset that anything that they call is free and you're freeloading and these entitlements. Those are things we paid for. No cost childcare, baby baskets to newborns. Can you believe it? They want to push this whole thing about everyone have more babies, more babies, more babies. Let's limit everyone's abortion rights. Let's have more babies, more babies, more babies. Who cares if they no one can take care of these babies? Let's just have them. Let's go with Andy Ogles. I think you guys may have heard about this guy. He's a piece of garbage. He's a huge piece of garbage. But he put this on this quick video of Zoran Mamdani from several months ago. I think at the beginning, right when Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, his deportation, mass deportation czar, came and had a talk, and Mamdani gave him a few pieces of his mind through this crowd. And boy, were they mad about this. Andy Ogles is still using this particular moment to act like this is a danger to society.
How many more New Yorkers are not charged? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? How many more New Yorkers are not charged?
Do you believe in the First Amendment, Tom Homan? Tom Homan, who's going around now pulling off the things that he was promising to do then, deport people, American citizens, as well, out of the country. Now we got this third country provision that the Supreme Court has also allowed them to pull forward. But that's supposed to be scary because the guy with the beard is yelling at the guy who's mumble mouth and is an actual terrorist terrorizing Americans in their own country every day. That guy's okay. But if you yell at him, if you pull up the First Amendment and bring it up to what he's violating to his face, that's a problem. And somehow Andy Ogles took that moment and what he tweeted was deport little Muhammad. I think what they're probably afraid of, though, is what Zoran Mamdani talks about. He was on Zateo News, and he was he was there with Cynthia Nixon, and she was interviewing him, and she asked about some of these things that are happening. Some of his policies were talking about keeping us from continuing to fund this destructive genocide in Gaza of innocent Palestinian people. That's the scary part, by the way.
Can you give us some of the maybe more shocking or surprising things that this New York subsidized funding is going toward, and things that might surprise people watching this, or might even perhaps surprise people who are donating to those said charities?
Yes, I think there are sadly too many examples, and I can begin with one charity that is based on Long Island, known as the One Israel Fund. And over just a few months, they raised more than $2 million, typically the amount of money they would raise in an entire year. But they managed to do that in just 60 to 90 days. And they raised that money for thermal drones and surveillance cameras for settlers. And in a video that they released, one of the individuals who was thanking this charity by name, the One Israel Fund, for a drone, is the same individual that has been named in President Biden's sanction of violent settlers. So we have the president saying this is somebody who should be facing the full accountability of American law, and then the refusal to apply that to state law means that same person is benefiting from tax exempt status being bestowed upon this organization. We have Other charities registered.
Pause for a second. That's example number one. I'm not sure if you guys fully picked it up, but we're talking about these New York charities that send in American money after they collect them for charity purposes in order to give, in this particular first case, drones to folks that are killing folks and using it, obviously weaponized drones, to kill folks that they want to push out of their settlements, out of their homes. And one of these folks, specifically by American federal law, as they said, with not law, but as Joe Biden put forward, someone who should be put on this list of folks that's a danger gets access to it with charity money. Here's the second part about it.
In New York, like Israel Gives, a crowdfunding platform that allows people to donate with tax deduction to the Israeli military, including units that are currently serving in Gaza, carrying out a genocide. And this is something that is all occurring with the tacit permission of New York law. And I would say the most stunning example, though, comes from a charity that is raising money for pistol to rifle converters to send to settlers, to take a weapon that could already take someone's life and enhance its capabilities. And these are not intellectual fears that we have. These are ones that are applied on a day-to-day basis, where hundreds of Palestinians have been killed by the military and Israeli settlers over the last few months. And some of them will likely be killed by weapons that we in New York have facilitated the sending of.
I mean, see, that's what people are afraid of. The fact that he's bringing forward these types of things that are happening, I had no clue. But the problem with folks that are in power that like to control other people's lives and, in fact, use our money in nefarious ways to continue the killing of innocent folks, they don't want people to know how the money is flowing. That's the reason why they don't want to teach the history of our own country, because of how we've done things and destroyed other nations, targeted our own citizens that spread the word, that do real life things to help the people that we always tell that we're about lifting up and being able to go through the pipeline of success and opportunity in this country. But there's always barriers. That's why people don't like terms like systemic racism, the way the system keeps certain people down. Well, here's someone that they don't like at all. And there's a system that also, as I brought up, Andy Ogles wants to put into place to make sure that he can't spread too much more of that truth. Andy Ogles said, Zohran Little Muhammad Mamdani is an anti-Semitic socialist communist. He just went through them all. Maoist, maybe, who will destroy the great city of New York. He needs to be deported, which is why I'm calling for him to be subject to denaturalization proceedings. Andy Ogles is a sore-ass loser. Once again, Andy Ogles is in Tennessee. Andy Ogles is not some representative from New York. He's from Tennessee. So now he's involved with the mayoral race in New York City, and he's upset. So he wants the denaturalization process to be begun on Zoran Mamdani, because he won. What a loser you are. You kind of suck at this. Bye-bye, little Mamdani. If you lied on your N-400 naturalization forms, you're going home. Andy Ogles, Representative Andy Ogles, wants to talk about someone who's going to destroy the country, who's dishonest. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but there was a couple folks, I was one of them, that was talking about the ethical problems with Andy Ogles. I want to start with Rachel Maddow.
Mr. Ogles has described himself multiple times as an economist. But you might guess, at a minimum, that if you're going to call yourself an economist, that implies you have some training in economics. Alas, no. News Channel 5 WTVF in Nashville has looked into that and discovered that, in fact, Congressman Andy Ogles has no degree in economics. WTVF found that Mr. Ogles, in his life, has taken a grand total of 1 community college course in economics, which he barely passed. Congressman Ogles also said that he graduated from Vanderbilt's Graduate Business School, which would be very impressive. In reality, he reportedly took executive education classes, which is a short-term non-degree program where you get a certificate. Thanks for showing up. Not actually a graduate degree, which requires years of commitment. Congressman Andy Ogles also claimed that he was a former member of law enforcement who worked in international sex crimes, specifically child trafficking. That experience in law enforcement maybe was him serving for 2 years as a volunteer reserve deputy in one county sheriff's office, a volunteer position from which, according to WTVF, he was released because he didn't meet the minimum standards even for that. Congressman Ogles also claimed to have a degree in international relations. Turns out that, too, is a lie. And he's sort of now admitting that that's horse hockey. A little over a week ago, his office was saying it was a simple case of condensing a resume for the sake of brevity on the campaign trail. And it's partisan hacks who are trying to turn this into a headline for clicks. That was last week. Now, this week, we have a new explanation for his claim that he earned a degree in international relations. The congressman today released a statement saying, I previously stated my degree was in international relations. When I pulled up my transcript to verify, I realized I was mistaken. My degree, turns out, is in liberal studies. I apologize for my misstatement.
Lied over and over and over and over again on his resume. Now as a congressman, lied over and over and over again. And by the way, for anyone who went to college and had degrees, did you forget what degree you got? Did you forget? Did you have to check your transcripts to discover what was it that I studied for all that time? Oh, my bad. I actually put the exact complete wrong degree on my resume because I had just misstated it. I forgot all about it. My bad. Lastly, about Andy Ogles and his mass laundry list of corruption, lies, and misidentification of who he is. He also raised tens of thousands of dollars through a GoFundMe account that featured the profile of a stillborn baby. Again, these are Republicans that are talking about the sanctity of life, but he pictured a stillborn baby. The page was used to raise money to build a burial garden for the child. So a local Nashville station was talking to him about this. He answered after other people that gave money, I think gave him up to $25,000 for this burial ground for people who've lost children before they were born. And it's a very touchy, tough subject. But the problem is no one knew whatever happened to that money. There was no burial ground ever built. People checked with the cemetery to see if any of that was done. They said there's been no coordination with him. He just took up $25,000 after posting a picture of a stillborn baby and then saying, I need the cash. Maybe it went to his campaign contributions. Who knows? But people are trying to find out. And when they did try to find out, he ran and jumped into an SUV and didn't say anything. Let's move on to people who are worried about their money in New York City. Joe Kernan over CNBC. Here's his issues with Zoran Mamdani, too.
Have you seen what Batman is up against in Gotham and what the guy running for mayor is up against? That's what it reminds me of. They're taking Wall Streeters and make him walk out onto the ice in the East River as and hope, and then they fall through.
Yep.
I mean, there is a class warfare that's going.
So what's happened here, I think,
is the rich type.
Joe Kernan from CNBC said there's a class warfare thing going on where I don't know if you guys have seen that Batman movie. I've seen that part of it. I don't watch tons of them, where the rebels took over the city. It's run by the criminals now. And they're ushering out all of the rich people who have been criminalizing everyone else in the city by taking all their money and using it whichever ways they want, using their money, power, and control to destroy other people's lives. And they're walking them out on the Hudson. Either you get shot here, I think they said in this new criminal court of law, either you get shot here or you take your chances on the ice. And of course, everyone falls through the thin ice. And Joe Kernan is worried that that's going to happen because 75-year-old Joe Kernan is afraid of a storyline from Batman happening in New York City because Mamdani won the primary. I want to go back to more of the racism. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted this because, this is an effective messaging. I guess that's the Statue of Liberty covered in a burqa. And she says, this hits hard. Why does it hit hard? Why does that hit hard? It hits hard to show how incredibly ignorant and racist you are. So Zoran Mamdani wins a primary and then gets rid of, I guess, her favorite guy, Cuomo. And now the Statue of Liberty is going to be covered in a burqa. That's so scary. Oh my God, it's so scary. We're going to see the Statue of Liberty covered in a burqa. She was asked about this, I believe, on The Hill.
You did tweet a photo or an image of the Statue of Liberty in a burqa. And you added the caption or comment, this hits hard. What did you mean by that?
Well, I'm an American woman and I have all the freedoms in the world to never have to bow to a religion that would force me to cover my body up and only see my eyes and my fingertips. And that is a major threat for all American women. And I think that's something that hits hard for all women.
But what's a
we
major
watch
what's a
them
major threat to
in
American women? Was it
Afghanistan,
in
the
reference to
girls and women.
Mamdani's win?
Pardon, I'm sorry.
What were you tweeting it in reference to when you say it's a threat to American women?
Oh, that's a Muslim takeover or possibly Sharia law. That is a great threat to every single American woman. And I think that's something all women should never want or allow to happen in America. And it's important to talk about those things.
But it's up to the voters of New York City to elect whoever they wish to elect, whether that person is Muslim or Christian or Jewish or anything else. So what is the evidence?
Well, of course, voters have the right to elect that, and I'll maintain my right to say that I think Sharia law and women being forced to wear burqas is the greatest threat to our freedoms as American women.
Right, but are you opposed to Muslims holding elected office?
I am 100% opposed to Sharia law in America. 100% unapologetically opposed to Sharia law in America.
That's her only answer. I'm 100% opposed to Sharia law in America. Are you opposed to a Muslim man becoming the mayor of New York City, as you're obviously indicating that you are? I'm opposed to Sharia law. Are you opposed to white nationalism? No, she's actually not opposed to that at all. In fact, she said she wants that to be the governing law of the land, because she wants her kind of racism and bigotry to run the country. So she's heaping that on other people that she's afraid of. So she continues to tell her minions of idiots that this is a big scare. Oh my God, there's a brown person with a beard that's actually winning elections because he's speaking to the people. Isn't that weird? I think what we can highlight is these folks that claim to be patriotic Americans are the furthest from Americans that we can find. The same folks who've always talked about freedom and opportunities don't believe in it at all. Because as soon as freedom and opportunities come for other people that they don't like, they're not the real Americans. Freedom and opportunities are for me. You're for providing that for me. I'm a superior being to you. That's what bigotry, hatred, and racism is. That's what white supremacy is. The face of it is that weird looking woman there. White supremacy. I get it. You don't. Your culture, bad. My hateful culture, great.